Hello everybody, my name is Eric Bird. I'm your host here at StopStrugglingNow.com, and today you can see I'm at the beach. But what we're going to be talking about is authorized user trade lines, improving your credit score. That's right, we're going to go over some lines that are available. So please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back. So today we're at the authorized user trade lines. So what we're going to do is we can't do authorized user trade lines without discussing credit score. There's reasons people do authorized user trade lines from henceforth. We'll be talking about AU trade lines. And this is how you boost your credit score really pretty fast. It'll post within 30 to 45 days, usually sometimes less, because there's statement dates. So if somebody sent me an email and said, hey, I need something to post by, let's say, June 15th, then we can get something that reports like June 5th or something like that, June 10th. So there's ways to do it, but generally just consider that it'll post in like 30 days. So as you can see on the screen is the breakdown of your credit score. Some of you who've been following know this already, but if we have a lot of new subscribers, and I want to say thank you everybody for joining us here at Stop Struggling Now. So as you can see, 35% of your payment history, or 35% of your credit score goes with your payment history. So therefore, when you miss a payment, your score goes down drastically. It could be 20 points, it could be 30 points, it could be 50 points. I've known people that they took 100 points off for missing one payment. But luckily, if you have 10 payment items, you can recuperate a lot faster than if you only had one or two items, because you want to be at 98, 99% to get a better score. Once you go under 98%, they start docking. So that's why your score goes down. So if you have two credit lines and you miss a payment, now you're at 50% payment history in essence. So now when you make your other payment, now you're back up to 75%, which is another month. And then when you make another payment, you'll be up into like the 80s. So that's how many months it will take you to get back up to 98%. Whereas if you had 10 lines of credit or 11 or more, if you missed a payment out of one of them, you would still be at 90%, and then to get to 97% you could be there the following month, and then at 98% in 3 months or 2 months depending. So anyhow, back to AUs. Because it's a big part of your payment history, authorized user trade lines, you have choices. Some year you can get an amount plus 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 14 years, 20 years. It all depends. But this is what you have to do if you're looking for authorized user trade lines. It does matter what your derogatory or collection information is. So a lot of people are confused, and I'll go over it real quick. If you owe $5,000, let's say in collections, or something derogatory on your credit report, and then you go out and get secured card for $500, you get a Credit One bank card for $1,000, let's say, you'll only have $1,500 available credit, and that'll be weighted against your $5,000. So you're still going to be well below the 29%. So everybody, I won't get into it this time, but you can preview a previous video when I get into how you calculate your credit scores. But you want your debt utilization to be 29% or less, and then it starts going every 10 points less. So if it gets under 19%, your score will get higher. If you get under 9%, which is the most excellent range, your score will get higher. And that's the optimal range. So you want to be under 9%. So in other words, if you owe $5,000 on a collection, debt, loan, another credit card, it does not matter, you would in essence have to have a card that's $50,000 or credit lines of $50,000 in order to be at 10%. So that gives you an idea of what you need. So an authorized user trade line, you could actually get one that's 40,000 or 50,000. And so if you had a trade line that's 40,000, let's say 45,000, and then you still had that 5,000, sure, you're not going to be under 10%, but you just now got yourself under 29%. So even with the derogatory or collection on your credit, which you'll try to get removed later, your score will go up. So I'm going to get into some authorized user trade lines that we're going to have, but we got to get into the credit history, because some people think just because they get an AU trade line that their score is going to go up, but there's a lot of different moving parts going on. So let's look at the 30%. 35% is payment history. 30% is debt utilization that I just talked about. That makes up 65% of your score. So needless to say, those are like the two most important things. And with an AU trade line, you can knock both of those out and get to a decent ratio within 30 days. Then you got 15% length of history. And that's where you usually see on somebody's card, like an AU, like we're going to do this Synchrony at 2800, has a 2 years, 9 month length of history, which means that'll show 2 years, 9 months of positive payment history, and that'll be added onto your credit file when the AU trade line is added. So as you can see, between those three things, you would be at 80%. And so if you have an on-time payment history, you have length of history, now you understand why you can increase your score, even if you do have little derogatory things. But again, it's all relative based on your debt utilization, your payment history, and your length of history. And then next, the other 10% parts are when you're trying to do new credit, which now you're going to have length of history is not going to come into play, because if you get anything new, it's only going to be 0 months, 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, and that goes against your average length of history. So if you have one credit card, 5-year history, and then you say, well, I'm going to get a new card. Well, your 5-year history just got averaged out to 2.5 years. It doesn't mean that you're still going to have your 5-year history. It's going to reduce it to 2.5 years. So that's why I suggest that if you're going to do something regarding AUs is one thing, but when you're going to say I need primary trade lines, that's why I suggest you get all your primary trade lines, try to get them all at once, meaning within like a 10 to 15 day period that you are going to apply, and then that way they're all going the same time, because your average length of history is going to come down the more new history you get. And then you definitely do not want to close any accounts. If you have positive payment history, and even if you don't, but if you have positive payment history on accounts, you want to leave those open. You do not want to close them, because some people have had 10-year history, and then just because they don't use the card anymore, they close the account. Well, that just wiped out 10-year history, is no longer counted, even though it'll show on your credit report, but it shows closed. And they basically take that, use that against you. So you want to keep it open, and make sure you always keep your longer history open. And also remember, anything longer in history, if it's derogatory, it doesn't have that much weight the older it is. So if you get something derogatory right now, like I was saying earlier, missed a payment, they might take 50 to 100 points, but you'll be able to recuperate. And so in about a year, year and a half, it'll be just like you didn't have that late payment, as long as you took care of business for that next year, year and a half. So, and then over time, your credit score can rise, because as it gets older, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it has less weight altogether. All right, so this is just a brief thing on the credit, because I'm going to go over some AUs, and I know you've been waiting patiently for them. So I already told you about the Synchrony $2,800 credit line, 2 years, 9 months, $425. And if anybody wants any of these trade lines, you have to hit me up at eric@stopstrugglingnow.com. So, and then we have a Synchrony that's 1,200 credit line. It's 3 years, 11 months, $465. Capital One, $600 credit line, 3 years, 2 months, $375. Then we're going to go with Chase. It's 6,500 credit line, 3 years, 0 months, $579. Citibank, $23,600 AU trade line, 14 years, 10 months, and that means it's $1,449. Wells Fargo, 12 years, 9 months, $1,299. So these are the ones that are brief. You can also go to stopstrugglingnow.com, and I'll have I'll have an image up showing other trade lines that are available if you don't like any of these. We have lots of them, so whatever you need we can do, and if you need something quick we can do that too. Just let me know what you need. Like I said, just go to eric@stopstrugglingnow.com and email me, or you can go to stopstrugglingnow.com and go view the AU trade lines that I'm going to post up there, and you should find a link there. All right, and that's pretty much it, because I want to say thank you everybody for subscribing, sharing, because we now are over 1,600 subscribers. I really appreciate your support. If you want primary trade lines, I guess I should get into this too. AU trade lines, that's using somebody else's credit. Even though it's on your credit report, that does not mean you're going to get a credit card. That does not mean that you can go charge something or buy something. It's just on your credit report to help boost your credit score. A primary trade line is when you have it in your name, and that also boosts your credit score as well. And many of you have seen before where I say My Jewelers Club, New Coast Direct, who else do we have? Hutton Chase, Ox Publishing, even Finger Hut now, Post. So I'm missing somebody, but I can't remember everybody. It's a long list, and I'm looking at a new company as well. So look at in the description below, you'll have a link to an older video that says boost your credit score fast, and that'll have the primary trade lines there. Oh, and DSX, they're brand new, DSX Design, which somebody can get up to a $12,000 primary trade line with them, but you have to be under their business package for $99 a month. Otherwise, you're only going to get a $5,000 or $6,000 trade line, and all the information on what some of them don't post all three, so it'll be in the description below or in the previous video. Like I said, just go to the link below and look at the Boost Your Credit Score Fast video, and it's in that description, and I talk about it there. So again, I want to thank you everybody for your support, your continued support, your sharing, your liking, and you can always email me anytime. I'll try to help. Don't forget, we're on Facebook, so you can always get us at facebook.com/stopstruggling. Now, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, Stop Struggling Now, Twitter, Stop Struggling. You can catch us anywhere. I know it's rough out there, so please like, subscribe, and click the bell so you get the latest updates. Keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.